yes, I'm Kathleen here in Social Media HQ with my team tonight. We'll be taking your questions all night. You can get in touch through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and through our anonymous form on the KTV website using the hashtag CQT President. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
It's for Dimitra. You mentioned in your manifesto that it will be increasing the funding support. What do you mean by this and how will you achieve it?
The question is for you and it says...
Can you hear me okay?
No, we still can't hear you. Go on, just give us the question and I'll try and throw as best I can.
Okay. You mentioned in your manifesto that you will increase the funding support.
Right.
What do you mean by this and how will you achieve it? Let's hope so. This is a question for Samuel. All the money that is made in the venue goes straight back to Kent Union Services. If you want to have made venue cheaper, what services are going to suffer the result of this? I do indeed. This one is for Zach. You mentioned increasing employment of the students within Kent Union. What jobs need to be done that aren't being done already then? Yes, I can. This one is for Rashida. In your manifesto, you talk about creating events to bring together different cultures. We already have some similar events. What will make yours different? This one this time is for Tammy. You mentioned in your policy around including bus passes for first-year students in the accommodation fee. Considering the vast majority of people voting for this won't benefit from that, is that really a priority?
Any more coming up?
Yes, indeed. This one is for Chris, and it's actually a Twitter question from Elliot. Do you think that you'll be able to separate yourself from your previous sport role, being president? Will you focus on societies as much as sport? This is one for David, and this is a Facebook question from Tom. You're quite vague in your manifesto. How do you plan to enable better accessibility to sports and leisure facilities? Yes, they can get in touch with us after the break with all their questions through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and our anonymous form on the KTV website using the hashtag CQT President.
Can you throw us a bone?
Yes, indeed, I can. We have plenty of questions rolling in. The first one we have for David, and it's a Twitter question from @BigShot. With terms such as crazy and mad discouraged by the mental health campaigning groups, do you think the campaign slogan, Go Coco for Loco, trivializes mental health issues? And for Sam, and it's, you mentioned price matching in essentials. With who? And if this price matching with large supermarkets was with a greater buying power, would you be happy to let essentials run at a loss? Yes, we have a question for Zach. Would you like to increase the funding for societies and sports teams? Sorry, you would like to increase the funding for society and sports teams. What services would you reduce funding for, enabling you to achieve this? Or do you have ideas for a source of alternative funding? Indeed, this one is for Tammy. You write in your manifesto a whole section of points for the venue lover. How much of a priority do you think venue is for students? Yes, we have one for Dimitra this time. You've talked about bringing inspirational guests onto campus. Who are the inspirational guests you would like to see? Yes, we have a question for Chris this time. In your manifesto, you mentioned breaking down barriers. What are these barriers and how will you break them down? Yes, we have a question for Rashida. You say that cultural diversity is important to you. How would you celebrate other forms of diversity like LGBT groups and students with disabilities? Yes, we have one more question for Darius, and that is, as a postgraduate student yourself, what would you do to support postgrads at the University of Kent?
Kathleen, are you there?
Hi there, yes I am. We've got a question for Rashida this time. You say in your manifesto that this is important for you to build a strong relationship with your students. With more than 19,000 students, how will you do this? We're moving on to Chris this time. You talk in your manifesto about rewarding students through a loyalty scheme. What would this look like and why is it one of your main manifesto points? Yes, we have a question for David this time. Do you think that you misread the student mood when a record-breaking number of students turned up to vote your motion down? And how do you think you can now be a good student representative? Yes, we're moving on to Darius now. How would you give more information and advice on funding sources for your degree in line with having your manifesto point? It's Tammy next, and her question is, having been the Keen's president for the past year, how do you feel the role has prepared you for potentially being the next Kent Union president? And for Zach this time, one of your manifesto points is increasing the lecture recordings and online materials. With 9K of fees, would you say that potentially cutting face-to-face contact is giving the best value for money for students? Our last question for Sam. You keep referring to the previous runner-up's manifesto points. Did you vote for him, and how do you know he did his research properly? I do indeed. Unfortunately, that is it from us this evening. I would like to say a big thank you to my team, the candidates, and of course you at home for sending in your questions. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook, and we'll see you on the 14th.